Hey everybody, Alex Svensson here, CigarPage. Thanks for tuning in the channel. And before we get started, please remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video, because we're doing a lot more fun stuff and you don't want to miss any of this great content. I wanted to shoot a video today because I was smoking. A big part of what I do here is obviously our product development, our buying. That has me smoking a ton of cigars. So yes, I smoke cigars for a living, if you can believe that. Anyway, what I was just burning and sampling is what's called a sandwich cigar. Traditionally, it's called a Cuban sandwich. They're typically a more economical cigar. But it's something maybe I haven't talked a whole ton about, so I thought it'd be a lot of fun to talk about a Cuban sandwich or a sandwich style cigar versus a long filler cigar. Because I don't think I've ever explained it. Maybe I have, but if not, we're doing it again. It's not always just smoking great, super premium long filler cigars. We have a lot of product that can be had at a really great everyday budget price. Whether you just want something to burn while you're walking the dog or mowing the lawn, we've got cigars for that. And a lot of times those do end up being the sandwich cigars, or what's also referred to as a mix filler. They tend to be only sold mainly in bundles, although some are sold in boxes. I'm going to explain to you the major difference. So I dissected a couple of things here on my table, but traditionally handmade cigars are made with whole leaves. So you have your wrapper, your binder, and your filler. This is a whole leaf wrapper. Whole leaf binder, and these are long leaf fillers. So, it's bunched in a hand, or it can be bunched in what's called a Lieberman. But traditionally, your long filler cigars are your more premium. They have a more solid feel. They have a little more weight to them. The tobaccos tend to be a little bit more quality. Now, let's talk about a sandwich and what's different there. A sandwich uses what's called picadura tobacco. It is black air-cured tobacco, just like a long filler cigar. It's the same tobacco. However, the pieces are smaller and more cut up, basically chopped tobacco. A lot of times, picadura comes from two different origins, la bloquilla or the ricote. La ricote is when you see cigars being made and they're rolled, they have them on the table and they chop the ends off. That's how they kind of form the final cigar. At the end, those chopped ends get saved. Also, sometimes when bunching, there's little bits of scraps and things. So it's basically the scrap from the production, and that's called the ricote. The bloquillo, whereas the bloquillo is actually from the pilones of the long filler as you're doing it. Once it's fermented and the tobacco is fermented and they're sorting it out and they're going to be baling it and they're going to be putting it into a cigar for a blend, and something doesn't meet quality control, the cigar, what they call broken leaf, can't be used for long filler. And it could be that it has a hole in it, could be that the whole leaf is broken in half. Obviously, sometimes fermentation, aging is very hard on the leaf, so those leaves will be removed. And there's a different value. In my mind, the bloquilla is a little bit more preferable. Although, if you have isolated scraps and cuttings from a certain blend, that can also be, really great. Sometimes when we make a very popular cigar, we will specifically save the cuttings for that blend, and that what goes into a sandwich, which usually those are called fumas, which I'm sure you've heard that word a lot. So there's a lot of words that get associated with these sandwich cigars: fumas and cazadores and sandwich, Cuban sandwich, mix fill. So what is a mix fill cigar? Technically a sandwich, it needs to have two components in the filler, some long leaves and some mixed. The percentage should really, to be considered a true Cuban sandwich, be 50-50, or it can be more. It can be more long leaf to mixed. Once you go below 50% long filler, you really start to call that a short filler cigar, which is a cigar entirely made of scrap. So, just to give you a little bit of a feel, this is the short filler picadura. These are actually ricotes for this particular blend that I've been working on. And they are encased here into long leaves. And then just like a long filler cigar, you'll have your binder and your wrapper. So to put it into perspective, I'm going to be doing a video for you guys soon on what it costs to make a cigar. I'm very excited about that. But to put it, I think, into more of an economic standpoint, you can buy a picadura, especially the ricote, for less than $1 per pound. Whereas long filler and long leaves filler can get, once it's sorted and finished, anywhere from really $7 a pound up to $11 a pound. So the savings is substantial. And that is why you tend to find short filler more in the value segment. They'll take basically the 2 long leaves, there's 3 long leaves, start as a base, and then fill in the short filler. People who are very good at making sandwich cigars are also very good with what's called leaf placement. They'll tend to try to also bunch more long filler towards the head of the cigar so that none of this small broken up tobacco or pieces get in your mouth when you're smoking it. So there's actually a real art to making a Cuban sandwich. A lot of times when rollers are just starting to learn how to roll, they'll also roll more sandwiches. If you go into a production facility, someone who's making a really nice premium long filler cigar with a good long leaf tobacco and doing a hand bunch, a team there, the buncher and the roller, will maybe make up to 300 cigars a day, sometimes 400 if they're very good, 200 if they're not. But somebody making a sandwich, which is typically done on a Lieberman, which is a kind of a bunching assistant machine. It's still manually operated. Some of it's still bunched in your hand. They can do, 1,000. So there's also a lot of labor savings. So between the tobacco savings and the labor savings, these Cuban sandwich cigars can provide a tremendous value. And they are still black air-cured tobacco. It's a great alternative if you're just looking for something to kick around while you're walking the dog, mowing the lawn. So, one thing I do want to get into, that's the difference between Cuban sandwich, long filler. We do get questions a lot, though, from people who are curious or otherwise and open up their cigars, cut them open, break them open, take them apart, and they see stuff that looks like this inside of a cigar that's advertised as long filler. That is quite normal. In a cigar that's long filler, once you get to, 85% long filler, and 15% picadora, or 90% long filler, 10% picadora, you're not actually, you'll see stuff like this, that 10%, that 15%, but it's not actual picadora that went into the blend. Those are actually tobaccos from the blend, from the bunch that the roller is making. So he'll end up making a bunch, right? I'm just going to kind of crudely, make a little bunch here in my hand. This is how he would form the bunch in his hand, okay? What they end up doing at this point, when they're ready to finish their bunch and start to form it, is they're going to have excess tobacco here towards the top, and they take it and they break it, okay? And then they take the smaller pieces and they'll file it into parts of the body of the cigar where it needs to be filled out, okay? So, a lot of times people mistake that refiled broken leaf, which is broken leaf, but it's broken from the same bunch that the cigar was made with. You do see that, but it's not really broken leaf Boquillo or Ricote. So you can actually see here with this long filler one that I did, and you'll see a little bit of a little pile of what looks like picador and broken filler, but again, that's broken from the same bunch. So if you do ever get curious, don't say, oh, well, this is long filler, but look, I found these small pieces in here. That's why. You're never going to find any cigar that really doesn't have at least some level of small pieces in it, because that's just how cigars are made by hand. So I hope that helps clear some stuff up. I had a lot of fun teaching you guys. Thanks again for tuning in, and be sure to, again, like this video and subscribe. Thank you.